Hello and welcome to another segment of your Ashland Public Safety Building Committee's report on the status of our building and the reasons why we need a new public safety building. As you can see, we are in what's called the Sally Port of the current Ashland Police Station. Behind me, as you can see over my shoulder, is evidence and other pieces of equipment that are stored here as a catch-all because there isn't enough space for any and all this equipment to be processed and handled and stored properly. One of the big concerns that we have as a committee is the lack of space. You can see why. We don't have the proper space. Back in 1978, when the building was first built and occupied by the Ashland Police Department, and I happened to be a member back then, when we walked in, the building was already too small for the current times for that building, and we've been trying to get the people to understand and appreciate the immense issues that go along with the fact that, one, you don't have space, and two, we're trying to save the town some money by combining services such as the police and fire departments. Dual dispatch, we're trying to save money that way. We're trying to save money on electrical, gas, things of that nature to make it a little bit more palatable for the residents. And in future public safety forums, you will hear Town Manager Michael Herbert talk about the financial aspects and the cost savings that this building will provide for the taxpayers. Yes, there is a fee that's going to be assessed to everybody, but we're doing our best to keep that fee to a minimum. We're trying to get this for the December town meeting. We want to have accurate figures so we can do a fair presentation for the townspeople to see real, true numbers and not just approximations. We want true numbers for this building so people have an idea. You will see when we do this virtual tour with Chief Roby and Chief Alfano, with both their respective departments, you'll see the inadequacies that the conditions of these officers, both men and women of both the fire department and police department, go through on a daily basis. And don't forget, these buildings are utilized 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24/7. So with that, I would like to hand it over to the Vice Chair of the committee, Mr. Stephen Mitchell. Stephen, I know, has a few things that he would like to add, and I'm sure I may have forgotten several things, so this is the reason why I asked Steve to bring it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And yeah, just to reinforce what Joe said, in future videos, you're actually going to see the condition and the status of the buildings. As Joe said, we're in the Sally Port of the police station. We're in between the parking lot that's in between the police station and then the original fire station as well. There'll also be some tours that will be included as well. So just a little background on the Public Safety Building Committee and the process. We've had essentially 25 meetings since 2018. We also had a forum recently, a Zoom forum in this era of COVID-19. We have been working with our project, our owner's project manager. We contracted with Vertex Company, and our designers are from HKT. And we've been working with them. You're going to hear from both chiefs at some point soon about the process at which they've gone through with the design of the buildings. And just for those that may not know where the building is located, this has been a very lengthy process of evaluating a number of sites in town, and the site that was preferred is the old Clocktown site, which is at the intersection of Waverly Street as you're heading east into Framingham, and then East Union Street as you head up into the high school. So we'll be doing some video at the site as well, so you get a sense of what the spot is. It's got proximity to the Fountain Street Bridge, which makes it a desirable place to site this building. One of the things, and I'll pass it back to Joe, one of the things I think we're very excited about is the fact that this design of the building includes a geothermal heating cooling system. And I'm not going to profess to know and understand and explain geothermal at this point, but you'll hear from some of our sustainability folks as well, and they'll be able to explain the desirability of geothermal. So it's a lot of exciting concepts that have been included, and as I said earlier, the chiefs are really going to kind of focus in on the work they did with all of their staff to create the building as a place that they're going to inhabit, they're going to live in, and they're going to be used in, and I think it's a place that we'll all be proud of as a community.
In addition to the geothermal, we've also increased insulation to help that process, and we pre-wired for solar down the road in the roof area. So sustainability has been on our mind with respect to this building, because it's just going to make it a lot easier for everybody down the road, looking at the cost analysis and the bottom line. So hopefully, when we put this out to bid, we should be the recipients of some better figures than what we were anticipating when we first started this process a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now. And one of the issues that a lot of people are talking about right now is the police department's training and accreditation. Well, we'll never get accreditation with a building like this. However, with a new building and modernization, we will get accredited. So it's up to the townspeople to decide whether or not what they want to do. Hopefully they agree with us and they vote this through during town meeting and the special election that we will have. And without further ado, I would like to hand it over to the chiefs and to Town Manager Mike Herbert to go through these buildings then for another virtual tour. Thank you.
Hello, Chief Alfano with Ashland Police. I'm going to continue our tour of the station, our current station, 137 Main Street. I'm going to walk you in our front door. This is the main public lobby into the building. I do want to point out the glass here in the front is not safety glass. It's not bullet-resistant glass. There was an incident a number of years ago where a subject with a rifle actually took up a position here in the parking lot and fired quite a few rifle shots into the building. The dispatchers, which would be behind us, had to duck for cover, and there's still bullet hole damage in the building. So any new facility would have bullet-resistant glass in the front entryway, just for the safety of the personnel inside. So let's go in and take a look. This is our public lobby. As you can see, it's kind of tight quarters. This is the public restroom. It's unisex, so we don't even have a male and a female room. There isn't space. This lobby is very, very tight. There's no space to speak privately with people that come in. A lot of times officers would like to talk to somebody, or somebody would like to speak with the officer privately, but if there's multiple people in here, there's really no place to sit down and talk. It's very energy inefficient. There's no heat out here and no air conditioning, so it's very difficult for the visitors. The front window here that you can see over to in front of you, there's still bullet holes in the brick here from that shooting incident I told you about. This lobby was retrofitted. This glass is bullet resistant, but again, it's really not a hospitable or friendly to our customers and the people that come in to talk to us. Now I'm going to take you into our 911 dispatch center. If you call 911 in Ashland, where they're looking for the police, a fire, and ambulance, this is where your call goes. This is the back side of the counter that you saw at the front. As you can see, it's kind of homemade, patched together. We don't have storage for equipment. It's rather difficult. Over behind you, this is our 911 center. All emergency calls to the town of Ashland come into this site. This is staffed 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We always have a dispatcher in here. There are no lockers in here. There is no bathroom in here. So if the dispatcher needs to use a bathroom, they have to leave and get coverage to come sit in their spot. All of these issues would be corrected inside the new facility. The new facility would have a combined police and fire dispatch center, so there always would be 2 dispatchers on duty, 1 fire dispatcher, 1 police dispatcher that will be cross-trained and help each other. So in a major event, you actually have 2 people there handling the phones instead of another officer having to rush in to assist the dispatcher. And the new dispatch facility would actually have a bathroom within the room, so dispatchers would not have to leave the room to use the restroom facilities. Behind the dispatch center, that open window over there, that's the patrol supervisor's office. All of our sergeants work out of that one office. It's kind of tight quarters. It gets, when there's a shift overlap, it gets rather tight in there. One concern with this room, as I said, it's staffed 24/7. There's only one entrance and exit into this room, so there's no alternative way for dispatchers to get out of here in event of a fire or an incident if the main door in is obstructed. So that's a concern to us. Naturally, there should be 2 entrances and egresses to any type of area, particularly where it's staffed all the time. Now we're moving into the main hallway of the station. As you can see, there's no storage space, all the exposed wires. If you look up at the ceiling, you can see there's a lot of water damage. There's old pipes up there, and who knows what else is up there. We're moving now into our roll call room, squad room, and this is the day room, the break area for the officers. This is the only place they have if they need to come in and eat lunch or do a report. Right, this is the one room in the station that's the catch-all room. There's a refrigerator, a microwave. Again, the officers would have their roll call conducted here every shift, receive their briefing, their cruiser keys, any special instructions. Their mailboxes you can see on the wall over there, kind of primitive, but that's all we have. Over here, this is our report writing station. This is where officers would write any report that they need to. If there's an arrest, if they have an accident, a motor vehicle accident that they're investigating, all the reports are done here. There's only 2 computers, so it does get tight if it was a very busy night and you have multiple officers trying to get in here to write reports. There's usually a line. And again, this is their break room as well as their briefing room. So there isn't a lot of space. If you look up at the ceiling, you can see the holes in the ceiling and all kinds of pipes and wiring up there. The mechanical systems of this building are getting old and failing, which would be very, very expensive to replace. They're also very, very energy efficient. The air conditioning runs all winter, so it's nice in the summer, but in the wintertime, every office has to have a space heater, and mine included, because it gets so cold in here. So we're wasting electricity and energy by having all these space heaters, and again, they're not as safe as a regular, real system. Next, we're going to look at the male locker room. So we have about 25 male officers that have to use this room every shift change. Because of the COVID emergency, we've actually had to close this room and not allow the officers to use it because it's so small and confined, and you'll see that as we go in. This is it. This is all the officers have for storage space for their lockers. The sergeants are in another hallway, which I'll show you. They have their lockers in there. And over here are the shower facilities and the bathroom facilities. Again, dated. They're constantly breaking down. It's not a space that's conducive to changing, especially if on a shift change. There's a lot of officers in here on a normal day, and needless to say, they're all in each other's way trying to get ready for shift change or to change into their civilian clothes to leave. As we continue down the hallway, this is our sensitive data storage. All this material has to be shredded. Again, there's no place else to keep it other than in the hallway. Moving in here, this is my office. This actually was our interview room and a meeting room, but there was no place for the chief to have an office in the station because the last chief had the office converted to the evidence room because we needed an evidence room. So kind of tight in here. There's no heat, cracks in the walls, the ceiling's falling down, but this is home and we make it work. Now we're moving into our female cell block. Of the entire station, in my opinion, the most dangerous part of the station is the prisoner handling area. Dealing with prisoners is a very difficult time for police officers because a lot of times prisoners are not cooperative. Many times officers are hurt dealing with prisoners after an arrest in the station. So we'll take a walk in now. This is our female cell block. We have 2 cells, and as you will see, we have to store supplies in here as well because there's simply no place else to store supplies. So note the shelving. And you can look right through the window there and see one of the female cells. All of this really is dangerous being here because prisoners, if they choose to fight, could push an officer into this with sharp corners. But unfortunately, there's no place else to put anything. This is our second female cell right here. And behind me are the lockers for the female prisoners and their property. Again, a confined space, a tough space. If you have a prisoner that's combative and you're trying to get them into their cell to secure them, this is difficult. It's very, very dangerous. There are times on weekends, particularly in the summertime, where both these cells would be full for the night. These cabinets on the to your left are firearm storage. It really shouldn't be here. They should be in a separate firearm storage room, but again, there's no place to store them. The office I'm going to show you next, this is our detective division and prosecutor. We have 3 people jammed into this room. It's very active when both detectives and the prosecutor are here. It's very, very tight quarters. Again, you see space heaters all around. There's really no heat in the wintertime, so it's a tough area. Now we're moving into our cell block. As you can see, the cell block is in very close proximity to the office area. If there's a female prisoner from my office, if the door's open, the prisoner waves to me and I wave back. The prisoner can hear everything I say on my office phone if I'm on a conversation, and if the prisoner decides to yell and scream, I hear them. So it's again, it's a tough situation being in such close proximity to persons in custody. This is our booking area. This area is way too small. This handcuff that is on the wall, if a person is brought in under arrest, no matter what they did, whether it's somebody for drunk driving offense or whether it's somebody that just robbed a bank, that's where they go. A lot of times prisoners can be very violent, and as you can see, from here, I can reach over, I can touch the phone, I can touch the computers. If I stretch over, we've had officers hit in the face with telephones, we've had computers destroyed by unruly prisoners. In the new station, this is not here. There's no room for the prisoner to be able to access anyone, particularly if they're handcuffed, and there are much more humane restraining systems than a bolt stuck in the wall with a pair of handcuffs. The prisoners are photographed here for their booking photos. Again, it's a piece of cardboard on the wall. And things like this cabinet, again, very, very dangerous. We can't move this because this has to be here. But again, sharp corners that a prisoner could push an officer into. Our fingerprint machine is over here. Again, very, very tight area. Picture 2 officers in here with an unruly prisoner trying to fingerprint them and get their information on the computer, and it's very difficult. What you're looking at now, these are the shutoffs and some of the plumbing for the cell block. If a prisoner is trying to break the toilets or the sink in their cells, we have to shut the water off so that they can't damage it. As you can see, it's a difficult system. Officers actually have to go in there to access those systems. Moving over here. This is the bathroom for the staff to use, other than the public lobby. As you can see, it's a unisex bathroom. It's a little tight, and obviously, if somebody's using the facility and they're booking a prisoner, there's no privacy, and it's just a tough thing. Now we'll move into the male cell block. These are our 2 male cells. We really need more than 2 cells. Again, on a busy weekend, all 4 of the cells that you've seen are generally filled. These cells are in compliance to state code regarding cells, but they're not ideal. They could be modernized, and we do need more. We need more prisoner areas. As you can see on the male side here, there's a little bit more space, so it's a little safer for the officers. The female side, which you saw, was really cramped and unsafe as far as we're concerned. Now I'll show you the sergeant's locker room. We're moving now into a hallway, which we have to utilize as our sergeant's locker room. They actually have they get changed in the hallway in here. And over here, this is all the electronics for our 911 system. Again, when you call 911, that system is what the call is processed on. It really shouldn't be in here. It should be in a climate-controlled room with air conditioning, because you're not here with us, but you could feel the heat that this generates. There is no heat in this area because it's a stairwell. So again, in the wintertime when the sergeants are in here changing before and after their shifts, it's very difficult. The conditions are just not good. At the top of the stairs over there, that is our records and evidence storage area. It's in the attic. It's pretty narrow and tough. As you can see, the stairs are very steep. If we have to bring large items up there, it's dangerous for the staff to go up this stairway over here. Now we're going to move into our sally port area. The sally port is an important function in our prisoner handling system. The sally port initially was designed to drive a cruiser into with the prisoner in custody. The door would close behind the cruiser, and the prisoner would be taken out of the cruiser and then into this area here towards booking. Unfortunately, our sally port is so small and crowded, a lot of times we can't even fit a cruiser in there, so the door has to remain partially open, which could be an escape risk for prisoners. And again, it's not safe for officers to do that. So let me take you into the sally port area. The sally port, as you can see, it's very, very tight. We have our police motorcycles and our ATV in here. We also have some of our police mountain bikes in here, which we use on a regular basis. The rest of them are stored out in that shipping container that you'll see. Right now, with the COVID emergency, we are running all our roll calls in here, both at the beginning of the shift, at the end of a shift. You can see the table over there and the seating. We're also taking all the officers' temperatures in here. So this roll call, you could have up to 10, 12 people in here jammed into this one room. Again, you're not with us, but it's a very hot day. There's no air conditioning in here, so it's very, very uncomfortable. Also, any small repairs, maintenance to cruisers would be done here in this garage. So between prisoners coming in and out, the motorcycles moving in and out, which we use quite frequently for traffic enforcement and special events. And if you're trying to work on a cruiser, the officer that's trying to do the maintenance has to constantly move the car in and out. So again, very, very difficult situation for the officers. I'll walk you through the facility. Since we're out in the parking lot, I'll start first with our female locker room for all of our female staff, both officers and civilian staff. And as you can see, it's located outside the police department. It's actually a trailer that the town purchased, and it's in the back of the station. It's really not very safe, and we really feel awful that all the female staff is relegated to the parking lot. So let me take you inside that and show it to you. As you can see, the trailer's kind of run down. It runs off a swimming pool pump to pump the sewage into the pipes in the main building. And as you come into the trailer, this is the female locker room, and it's the female officer break room. The trailer's in really tough shape. The roof leaks. The sewer pump that pumps all the sewerage from the toilet and the shower that's here into the main station is failing, so that's going to be very expensive to replace. As you can see over here, we have a private area. If any of the female officers are nursing, they get to use this area. It's pretty much all we have for them to use. And then this would be their locker storage facility here. Again, it's difficult having department members out in the parking lot and not really being part of the department, so to speak. So this is something we'd like to see rectified right away. Plus, this trailer doesn't have much active service life left in it, so it's going to have to be replaced within another year anyway. So again, that's why we're hoping timing-wise that a new facility would eliminate this. This is our department UTV vehicle. We use this all the time. We use this almost daily between patrolling the town forests, rescues at the state park, and for special events. We don't even have room for this in the garage at the Sallyport, so we had to buy this container to keep this in, the snow blower, and our mountain bike patrol bike. So again, this is really not a good storage for this type of vehicle. It should be in a garage within the station itself. Another safety concern for this facility, the police station main entrance is not protected by any type of signals like the fire department is. We've already had 6 cruiser accidents through the years out in front here with officers trying to get out in heavy traffic. It's very, very difficult for them to get through the traffic, particularly if they're making a left-hand turn. So the new public safety facility, the cruiser and the fire trucks would be protected by signals, so it would stop the traffic so the emergency vehicles could enter and exit properly. This is very dangerous out front here, particularly at rush hour. If you direct your attention to the beautiful copper roof on the old police station, it's a nice looking roof, but it's treacherous. The snow and ice slides right off it in the winter. We can't use the sidewalk that you see over here, and there are times when we have to close the main lobby. We've had officers injured, hit by falling ice and snow, and we've had many cruisers damaged, having their windshields shattered and damage to the vehicles with the snow and ice falling off the roof. Very treacherous, very dangerous situation. The parking lot facilities at the station are really inadequate. Right now is actually a good time because a lot of the cruisers are out on the road and we're not at a shift change. When you bring the cruisers back in off patrol and there's a shift change for the officers, there's no room in this parking lot. It's absolutely jammed. We also share this parking lot with the fire station right over there, so the firefighters have to park their own personal vehicles in here as well. So again, the parking lot is not sized suitably for 2 facilities, police and fire. Hello, this is Chief Vin Alfano, and we're standing outside of 91 Main Street next to the town hall. This is rented office space that the police department has had to rent for about the past 5 years now to house staff that doesn't fit in the main police station. Unfortunately, we have to pay rent of about $30,000 a year for this site in addition to utilities, so it's not really an efficient use of our funds. Should we be all together in a new public safety building, this rent and this fee just goes away. Let me take you inside the building. It is close to Town Hall, which is probably the only good thing about it. I'll take you inside and show you the inside of it. What you're looking at there is the emergency generator. It's a portable homeowner one that runs the town's Emergency Operations Center, or EOC, in event of a disaster or a townwide emergency, and also the marathon. This is where all town officials from the DPW, Town Hall, police and fire departments, and various town departments would go if there is an emergency. As you can see, that's not much of an emergency generator, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. As you move into the building, our executive secretary and administrator, Maureen Carmichael, this is her office area. She works in this building. I work daily with her, and I'm in the main station, so we're not even in the same building together, which is very inefficient. If Mo needs me to sign any paperwork, I have to either come over here or she has to go over to the main building, walking back and forth. If she needs to go over to town payroll, she has to, again, walk quite a distance. So very inefficient having staff over here. As we walk through the building, you'll notice we're coming into our Town Emergency Operations Center, this table. All town department heads would come here in event of an emergency. This facility has some makeshift communications. We also have the command post for the marathon located here at this table. Again, as you can see, it's really not conducive to having a lot of people in here. We could have up to 25 people in here or more at a time. I'll show you the bathrooms. This would be the break area and bathroom area for upwards of 25 people during the marathon and during an emergency in town. In the new facility, the Emergency Operations Center would be actually located within the training room. Again, much more spacious, much more convenient, and communications equipment will be built in. As you can see right here, this radio system, this is our command post radio system, and it's basically in a suitcase. The antennas are internal. They really should be external for good reception. Over here is our storage area for this facility. Again, not optimal. These are all the communications wires for the radio gear that's in here. It's a tough facility, as I said, and it's costing us rent. The staffing in this building is our command staff. Both lieutenants have offices in this building. Our administrative sergeant has an office in this building, as well as Maureen Carmichael, our executive administrator. The chief's office used to be in this building. When I became chief, I moved the office back to the police station into the old interview room, because it's very difficult operating out of two buildings. So it's not efficient at all for us to have a separation of the command staff where most of the rank is over here in this building and the rest is over in the police station. It's very difficult for communications, meetings, etc.
Okay, we're going to bring you to the Main Street Fire Station again, built in 1928. A lot of things have changed in those years. Back then, they probably looked at horse and carriages and horse-drawn steamers, and then we went to steamer engines. Now the engines today are a lot larger than they were. They actually have trouble fitting in this. As you can see, this has a built-up ramp, so this limits a lot of the fire trucks that we actually put in here. We have to have them custom made, because as you back into this, you'll actually bottom out, ripping off your mufflers, your rear tailboards, and there's no way a ladder truck will fit in here because it'll go through the ceiling. So we could take you inside, take a look around, and see what's in there. So currently we're inside the Main Street Fire Station. Basically it has 3 bays. Over the years, with all the growth and stuff, we've definitely outgrown this station. This used to be our main headquarters. Today, our headquarters are actually located over at the Cedar Street Fire Station, which we'll show you shortly. So all the offices and stuff have been moved over there. Space here is limited. I mean, back in the day, there used to be two trucks that would park in each bay, so this would park 6 trucks. With the size of the trucks today, you can see that we cannot fit in 2 trucks. Equipment, fire gear is actually located in the back. A lot of stuff has happened with the fire service over the years. A lot of it is now we're seeing cancer rates and stuff. A lot of the concern is the fact that our living stuff is within the bays of the garage, and so it's being exposed to exhaust and things like that. So if you look in the back here, you can see our turnout gear hangs right there. In a newer fire station, that would have its own separate room, and it'd have a special ventilation system so it would exhaust all the fumes out of the gear after a fire, so we're never exposing the guys. And also we would have equipment there to clean the gear. We don't have that type of equipment at this station. We do have it at the other, and I can show you that. Over in our left corner, you see a couple boxes right behind that Pepsi machine. That's where we fill our air bottles. So we really don't want to be filling our air bottles out of a bay of a garage, because again, it has exposure to exhaust, but that's the only place we have location for it. So that's where it sits today. Again, in a new fire station, that would be in its own room, get its own fresh air intake, and that would not be a concern. So out of the station, we actually have an engine, an ambulance, which is actually on a medical right now, and then we have the boat with the pickup truck for rescues in the reservoir and stuff. It's actually been a little busy this summer with them. One of the tough things is we have to leave boats in service through the winter and having storage. So this boat actually is squeezed in here. As you can see, it's right up against the back wall. Our other station, it's a smaller boat, easier to deploy, but during the winter, you'll see it's stored outside, so we actually have to take the motor off it and winterize it. So it makes it very tough to deploy in different locations. This boat's great for a boat ramp and stuff like that. The other boat is easier to carry and deploy in areas where we don't have a boat ramp. Actually, this winter, we did have a drowning before the good weather on the Fountain Street, and we actually had to deploy the other boat. The motor was not working. This one, we could not get in that body of water because there's no access, so we actually had to call Hopkins and Fire to come deploy their boat. So a big reason why we want to get the boats inside so we can have them ready to go year-round. So at this station, when we work on equipment and stuff, you'll see this is our tool area. Again, very limited space between that and the boat, often hindering from any major equipment being worked on over here. Would have to pull the boat out so we can work on it, put the boat back in. Easier said than done because there's not a lot of storage place outside to pull the boat and leave it outside somewhere. We don't want to store it out in the front ramp, and once it's hooked up to the truck, it won't fit out there anyways. So at the station, and you're going to find with both stations, definitely having room to store stuff has been a major issue for us. Off to the side here, you're going to see that's where we store our biohazard. So dirty needles, anything comes back after a medical call has blood on it and stuff, we have to store it somewhere safe until it gets picked up by a biohazard company. Again, that's one of the only spaces we have available. This room is actually a workshop for the maintenance guy working on our breathing apparatus. And it's also, as you can see, become a storage room for everything else because there is no place to really store it. So that, again, you're going to find this is probably one of our biggest things, is having lack of space and places to store things. So with COVID-19 on, involving all departments, one thing we have to do is we have to evaluate everybody who comes on duty. When they come in, we take their temperature. When they come back from a call, we make sure they disinfect. So we've had to set up these special stations. You can see here is a small one. It's got a thermometer, hand sanitizer, gloves. Again, when a guy comes back from a call, he's to clean up before he goes upstairs. The biggest thing we don't want to do is bring what we bring back from the field and bring it upstairs into the living quarters of the fire station to spread it amongst us, everybody. That goes with fire gear. When we talk about wanting separate rooms to store our fire gear, we don't want the off gases from a fire coming onto us and getting into the building and then living in it through the day. So that's where you see new fire stations have places to go decontaminate or evaluate people. They have places to store the fire equipment that's separate from what we call the living quarters. I don't think a lot of people understand a fire station. We say living quarters because we are here 24 hours a day. This is like a house to us. On the upstairs, we do have a kitchen. We have a dining area. It's day-to-day life for the guys up there, and we don't want to bring the contaminants from our job into that world and affect our guys. So right now we're in the basement of the fire station on Main Street. This is actually a combined fitness area for the police and fire, and I have Captain Maureen from the fire department here. She's going to show you around a little bit, show you the issues we have here.
Thanks, Chief. So as the Chief mentioned, this is a very important part of our daily routine for both police and fire. It's really important for the members to be able to reduce some of their stress of their daily chores, and this is where they come to do that. Unfortunately, it's underground, and with that it comes, as the Chief mentioned before, we've had some flooding issues here. I'm going to show you we have multiple sump pumps to remove the water. Anytime we have heavy rains, or in worst case scenario we have tropical storms, the basement, the water runs down and into the basement and floods this area, which creates a hazard for both the police and fire members. In an area that's supposed to reduce some stress becomes more stressful for our members, so it's kind of having the opposite effect. So to my left, you're going to see the first sump pump that we have, and it's positioned underneath one of the pull-down equipments, workout equipments. And if you follow me to my right, we have another one over here in this room. And then over to the far left over here, we have a third one. So as you can tell, having 3 sump pumps, obviously it gets pretty flooded right over here. That's the third one. And then there's one on the exterior too. So the guys do a great job trying to clean up after it gets contaminated with the water. But like everybody knows and appreciates, water creates a whole lot of damage to any kind of property, and this is no exception down in the basement. But this is like I said, this is a vital part of the daily operations for both the police and fire members, and they really enjoy coming down here to relieve some of the stress of the job. And unfortunately, they have to deal with other hazards besides the hazards of their occupation.
So one thing people don't understand when we talk about how we outgrown a fire station, what's changed. Back probably in the 70s, this was the kitchen for the fire station. So the living quarters were in this basement. With the flooding issues and all that, they ended up having to move all that upstairs and take over space upstairs. So right now we're in back of the Main Street Fire Station, again, built in 1928. If you take a look at the back of the building, you'll see there's a ramp that goes down into the basement. That is where we actually get a lot of water flow, and we've actually had the station completely flooded from a storm previously. The water came down the railroad tracks, across this parking lot, and ended up flooding the station. I think we had 8 feet of water in the basement that time and lost everything in the basement. Also in the back of the station, you'll notice we'll have a generator. That generator services both the police and fire station on Main Street. It actually covers the 911 phone. And actually this past winter we did have a storm where the generator failed to operate and we ended up losing our 911 until we got that restored. So now we're at the Cedar Street Fire Station. We refer to this as our Station 2. This is our main operating station. Here is our administrative staff, our dispatchers located here. Daily permits and stuff like that need to be pulled. People come to this location. I'm going to walk you through, show you some of the deficiencies that we have now. As you can see, we're starting to outgrow this building. This building was donated in 1988. It was donated by Howard Fafford at that time. So we can take a walk around and we'll take a look. So, I don't know if you want me to talk as we go. So as we approach here, one of the biggest things we talk about is safety of the firefighters, having an area for decontamination and keeping the areas clean. Well, we've had to set up a temporary place here. This is actually for COVID. So as our guys come in, daily we have to check them in the morning. We check their temperatures, we log how their readings are, maintaining their health. And then also when they come back from a call, this gives them a place to stop, take off any contaminated clothing, and actually before they enter the building, so they're not exposing the whole fire station. Since we're in the bay, we'll take a look around here, and you can just see how tight all our walkways can be. So again, as I explained in the other station, the gear should really be in an isolated room separate from these trucks. Problem here is the gear comes back from a fire call, has gases on it from the fire that just emits into the air, exposing us. And also the trucks have the exhaust, vice versa, gets on the gear. So always cross-contaminating each other all the time. So that's why you really want to isolate your equipment from your gear. Again, you can see as the trucks barely fit in back to back. And if you look up above, you can see how the pipings have been changed, modified over the years. That was actually to fit that truck in, because when we bought it, it would not fit in without the modifications. So you can see we had to move the exhaust pipes. And if you look down, you compare the front doors, you could see they had to actually raise the door of that because it would not fit in the door as it was. Again, it's built in '88, but we're definitely outgrowing it. You look at the station downtown and how small it is. Well, in '88 to now, trucks have changed so much. So as we walk over here, one of the things we talk about is our decontamination. We had to buy a washer and dryer. So on the right is the wash machine, the red cabinet, that's our dryer for our gear. So after a fire, that's where we put our stuff to clean it. Again, this should be in an isolated area. For us, we had no space to put it, so we had to put it in the middle of the garage. And as you can see, we had to put bollards in the back so the truck wouldn't actually back into it as it backs in. Right now the truck's out on a medical, but when it comes back, you'll be able to see how close it really is and how tight it is. Again, safety moving around the fire station, you can see how tight it is when the guys have to get into this truck. They'll walk down here, grab their gear, have to come back here, put it on, and then they'll try to climb into the cab there. That cab door, when it opens, will actually hit the side cabinet. And here you'll be able to, the engine's just coming back from medical, you'll be able to watch it backing into its bay to see how tight it is coming through the doors and stuff. On the right, you can see how tight it is for the guy who's putting on an exhaust system. So this area also serves as a maintenance area. As you'll see our tool cabinet here. One of the things the new station has is like a tool area with a workbench. So when they work on equipment, they can put it on a bench and work on it. Here they either put it on the floor, or actually outside we have an old picnic table. We'll bring the equipment and have to work on it outside on the picnic table. But as you can see, there is no place in here to put a countertop for them to work on. So again, storage has always been a problem for us at the station, as you'll see in many different spaces. This serves as somewhat of a maintenance area, has the washer dryer so the guys can clean their uniforms if they go on a call, get blood on it or something. Again, it's where we store everything, but it's also our mechanical room. We have all our electric panels in here, which, as everybody knows, you don't want to be storing in front of it, but we have no choice but to use this room. So next we'll walk you into our administrative area. The first room we'll take a look at is our dispatch room, and you'll see how limited the space is. The new station, they're looking at having multiple positions in one room working together. So you can see how tight it is. It'd be tight to put two people in here at the same time. What I'll do is show you another storage room. This is actually where all the 911 phone lines for the fire station come through first. So this is our communication closet. Again, with limited space. It has accumulated other things over as time goes on. All right, we'll take a walk upstairs. So when the station was built, again, it was a donated building. Downstairs, there was an office for the secretary, an office for the chief, and the dispatcher. And as we go back down, I can actually show you how we've modified all that space. Upstairs here was two big rooms. This was one side. The other side of the building was exactly the same. So it was just two big open areas. This would be for day-to-day activities, and the back was what we refer to as the bunk room. Times have changed. They've gone to more individual bedrooms. You'll see we've had to break up the room. We've got male, female, so more privacy. So I'll show you how we divided space, but we also moved the chief's office up here in a little meeting room because we've taken over the space downstairs for the officers to have an office space, the fire prevention, the training office. So up here, this is our training room. But as you'll see, it's also our kitchen. It's our sitting area for the firefighters. It's also our kitchen area. So currently we have 4 firefighters attending the Mass Fire Academy. They had to start their first 4 weeks remotely. So we did not have a space to isolate them. We would have to send them up here. This is our training area, but it's the day-to-day activities of the fire station to be too distracting. So we actually had to set them up in a classroom at the school. So that's what we look at when you look at a new station. What makes it operate better? It's having its own training area, so it's not interfering with day-to-day operations. You could set up something and leave it there set up. As you see, we have the tables, we break them down after the classes, we send them back up. We have to bring all the chairs back up, as you see them all stacked in the back. So as I referenced, in the back area of the fire station used to be one big open area. So we've since divided it, and you're gonna see we've made it the locker room, bunk room areas. So this room here, we've actually got 2 bunks set up in here with lockers. And I can take you around. We could show you some of the other rooms. Again, just subdividing the rooms, you're going to see how small this one really is. So you can see how tight this room really is. We got 4 firefighters hired off a SAFER grant, and they, like I said, have just started. They're in their academy now, so we had to modify this room to separate actually a female area to a male area, since we have a few female dispatchers, and we're actually figuring with female firefighters coming on board, you're going to need their individual spaces. Again, just another bunk room. Seems to be an average size, but like I said, we had to steal space to make up that other one. So the back area of the station was modified to be the chief's office and a conference room. With COVID and all the needed supplies with COVID, you're going to see that it's also become a supply closet. This is a lot of stuff that we've had to purchase in preparations for COVID, working with the COVID calls, and also stuff that we received from MEMA. So currently, we're storing it right here because we have no other cabinet to store it in. I will show you outside. We do have a storage cabinet outside, but a lot of this would be affected by the moisture, the humidity, so we've left it in here for now. Just to give you another glimpse of another storage area that we have and how we've had to modify spaces to include storage. This is our records storage area. It's actually the attic space above the dispatch room. So this is where all our medical records, fire reports will be stored until we can move them to another location, off-site. So as I referenced, downstairs, when it was originally built, was a chief's office, and like the secretary's area, this was actually an open wall. The secretary would have been working in here, and the chief would have been in the back part. Again, we've had to modify the spaces, one to be able to lock up the area at nighttime for the secretary, who's now actually our administrative assistant. This is actually the operations room for the duty lieutenant, so he can come in and do his reports after calls and stuff like that. And then the back area here, we have a training area and our fire prevention. Our training officer also serves as our maintenance man, so as you'll see, a lot of equipment gets brought back here as needed for him to follow up with. So that's a lot of the insides of the station. What I'm going to do is quickly just show you outside You know, people ask how many bays, what do you need for storage area? Well, what I want to show you out here is the stuff we leave outside that gets affected by the weather. So over here, this equipment sits out year round because we don't have a space indoors to put it. That's our dive rescue truck. That's a brush truck. That's a technical rescue trailer. And that last trailer is a trailer set up for setting up shelter. So it has cots and stuff like that so we can move it to a school if needed and be able to set up our shelter. I gotta say, probably 10 years ago, actually a snowstorm caved in the roof of that one and had to be replaced just from sitting out here. Then if we flip onto the back side, you'll see we keep out another brush truck. And then in this little shed here, we actually store our boat. So this is our primary rescue boat for this station. It's actually a smaller one. If you saw the one at the other station, that one's is bigger. This one's smaller. It's able to deploy into areas like the mill pond quicker and easier. The reservoir along Fountain Street where we don't have a boat ramp to put a boat in. So that would be the primary one. During the winter, we have to winterize that. So the motor gets taken off. We have to put antifreeze in it, and it just sits in outside out of service.
Hi folks, I'm Lieutenant Irucci from the Ashland Fire Department. Thanks for having me today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the public safety building and some of our apparatus and the future plans for the town. If you don't mind, I might walk around the truck as we talk, because I'm kind of an on-the-go guy, so I don't usually sit still for 1 minute. But this is our tower truck here. If you come closer, as you see, this is a very large truck. And this very large truck, if you span over to our Station 2, it fits in a very little spot. And we actually had to have those doors in the middle raised when we got this tower truck because it didn't actually fit into the station. And you know, I talked to a lot of our residents in town, and a lot of them know me. And you know, a couple of the questions that come up is, the residents say, do you really need a new fire station? And that is the biggest question in town. Do we really need a bigger fire station? Well, some people think no, it's a nice to have, but other people see it as a have to have. I'm on the side of, at this point in my career, we have to have a new fire station and a public safety building. And the reason is right now we have 2 paramedics downtown in that little station next to the police station. Both those buildings are beyond repair. And in order to do anything, you would have to spend probably millions of dollars to upgrade those stations. And they're right downtown by the railroad tracks, which is not the best place to be if we ever had any incidents on the railroad. So there's been a lot of people for many years trying to bring this to fruition. And I think we're closer than we ever have been in the history of Ashland. And yes, it's definitely a have to have at this point. I support the public safety building, and I support the residents and the people in town. And a lot of people know me, but I'm not trying to make a decision for you. It's when you go to the town meetings or the polls, it's up to you to vote your conscience. And that's really what we're trying to do. So I'm sure you've seen many videos in the past of myself and the chief and other firefighters and police officers giving you tours of the buildings. I'm glad to give anybody a tour that wants one. These buildings are in need of much repair. And this particular building here, if we approve the public safety building and build a new station, this will become used for a lot of things. I'll show you the training tower over here. You guys seen it many times, but in the background, we built years ago, all the firefighters, not just us, but the surrounding towns, all volunteered and built this training structure in the background. And a lot of people, when we built it, they said, why did you build it out of wood? Isn't it going to burn down? Well, no, this isn't a building that we light on fire, but it's a building that we mimic a fire. We can put smoke in it. We can put shields on so people can't see, and they can crawl around the different levels and use their touch and their sounds rather than their sight to find their way out of a building if they were trapped or something like that. And when we get a fire, we're going in searching a building in case there's any victims in the building. So that's what it's for. It's a training tower, and we allow other communities to use it. So that will continue. And the town will probably use the building for other things too. You know, putting apparatus in, or maybe the DPW might use it for certain things. But there is a big plan, and anybody, before you vote your conscience, do the research and look at what they're trying to do and ask questions. You can ask questions over at the town hall. You can ask questions at the police department, the fire department, the DPW, and even the schools. You know, we all are here together to work together. So that's kind of my 2 cents. And if you want to talk to me more about it, just give me a call.
Hi, my name is Steve Mitchell, and I serve as the Vice Chair of the Public Safety Building Committee. And we're standing here at the location of the new proposed public safety building. We're on Route 135. We're in between the Fountain Street Bridge and the intersection of 135 or Waverly Street and East Union Street. East Union Street being the road that takes you up to Ashland High School. And this is a site that over the past 20 years, there's been 2 different analyses done relative to the best site to locate a public safety building, because we have a railroad track that bisects the town. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Fire Chief Keith Roby and Police Chief Vin Alfano to talk about the building itself and how it's going to be situated on this particular site.
So right now we're at the proposed site for the public safety building. To give people an idea of the layout, actually the bay of the fire stations will be on the far end of the building, and the trucks will actually come out into the intersection right there where the intersection currently sits today, right there at East Union, Waverly, 135. Again, a lot of people have asked, why is this the location? One of our biggest reasons is the train tracks. The train tracks divide our town, and we need to be able to get on both sides of town. How frequently does it happen? You can actually hear the train going through right now. So if we had a call currently and going out of Main Street Station, we wouldn't be able to go over that crossing. We would have to come down to the Fountain Street Bridge. So again, currently we're on 135, and on that, very close to us at the next intersection is our crossing to get over the bridge. So one of the concerns we've heard is the intersection, the traffic, and what they're going to do. So currently they are looking to redesign this intersection. We'll actually add a turning lane off of 135 onto East Union. Currently that's been a bone of contention with a lot of people not being able to take a right on red. The problem is it's too tight of a turn to allow a legal right on red. So they're going to actually modify that turn a little bit to make it more of a turn versus a straightaway. That will hopefully allow that right turn lane. The other question is how the fire department responds along here. And the concerns there, well, the reality is today our Cedar Street station is right up on East Union, and majority of our calls we already respond through this intersection. So we do have a good understanding where it is, where it gets bottlenecked. They are going to redo the lights here, and hopefully we will have the lights down the Fountain Street interconnected, and we'll be able to clear the traffic out at all times for any issues there.
Hi, I'm Chief Vin Alfano with the Ashland Police Department, and I'm standing on the site of the proposed public safety building, East Union Street. A couple of interesting points which made this site very, very attractive for us. From the fire department standpoint, we're very, very close to that Fountain Street Bridge, which, as you all know, trains can totally shut Ashland down, especially for the fire department. So that Fountain Street Bridge, which is just yards away from us, is critical. Also, from a police standpoint, if a train comes, our cruisers are not at a standstill at the tracks waiting for the train. They can get right over that bridge. Something that the police department feels is very, very valuable because of this site is if you look right up here on the hill, the high school is right behind those trees. And during the daytime, the largest concentration of residents at any one given point in time are at that high school on a school day. The police department will be literally yards from the high school. Should an incident or an event happen at the high school, officers will be right here, very, very close by. Same thing with the fire services, with the ambulance. We're right here. We're a stone's throw from the high school. So that's very important to all of us. It is so critical to have all the public safety agencies, police, fire, and the ambulance in the same building. We work together on a daily basis. We respond together as brothers and sisters to all calls. To have us together with a single joint communication center, the communication is so much improved. Joint training, having us in one facility really makes our job much more efficient and much easier to do, and ultimately provides a much more efficient and faster response for Ashland residents. The building itself will be a lot more energy efficient than what we're using now. In the course of this video, you've seen a number of different buildings. All the buildings that you've seen, police and fire, have antiquated heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. We don't use solar power. We don't use any renewable resources. All of that would change. This facility would have geothermal heating, solar. It would be very efficiently designed, so your tax dollar will not be spent towards energy. It'll be spent towards providing public safety for all the residents. One of the important points to note is this building will be located in the gateway to Ashland. We're not far from the town line in Framingham. And as you look at the site right now, it's undeveloped, it's overgrown, it's loaded with concrete pipes. It's really not a desirable looking site for people that enter our community. Ashland's a vibrant community. The new facility, and you'll see the design photos and drawings in this film, the new facility is a beautiful facility. It's well designed and really reflects Ashland moving into the next century. So this facility will be one of the first things that people that come into Ashland will see. And that's a building that all the residents can be proud of, and it'll leave a wonderful, lasting first impression on all our visitors into town.
So I want to thank both Chief Roby and Chief Alfano for their descriptions of the building. So hopefully residents have a better idea, a clearer idea of the site, the location of it relative to certainly addressing incidents throughout the town. And again, this is this building has been designed to be a 50-year building as an investment. We felt that it's important that we demonstrate that this building will accommodate any growth or future growth in the town, as well as the fact that we are committed to sustainability practices for this building as well. We're going to incorporate a geothermal heating cooling system. We will be accommodating extra superstructure in order to accommodate future solar panels on the roof, as well as a number of other energy efficient resources that we have designed into the building. So hopefully this is a good snapshot of the site, of the location. We're going to also include some drone footage that will give you even a better aerial view of the site as well. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your viewing and your attention to this, and your consideration. Thank you.